Hey YouTube, Herbal Prepper here, and today I'm going to show you how to get ready for winter. Now we all know that with winter it also brings its signature illnesses, which usually deal with respiratory. Now the reason I have all the ingredients here is because all of these are great for respiratory illnesses. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I'm doing in each herb. I'm not going to go into great detail on each because I want to try to keep the video as short as possible, but I will tell you a little bit. Now, an Oxymel, which is what we're going to be making today, is a sour and a sweet. Now, when you get apple cider vinegar, make sure you get it with the mother. That's the enzymes, that's the healing properties, that's the medicinal properties of it. If you're using apple cider vinegar for your face for acne, I would recommend getting this as well, but you can also use just apple cider vinegar. Honey, this is one of the main ingredients, I should say. This and this are the main ingredients in an Oxymel. But honey it never goes bad. It's a natural preservative. They have found honey in the tombs of Egypt. But you will notice over time that it will look like this. It will start to get hard and it won't move. It crystallizes. All you got to do is gently warm it up. And I say gently because when you heat up honey, you kill its properties. You kill its enzymes, and you don't want to do that. You want to keep all that goodness in because that's what's helping you. Okay, so let's move on. So now that you know we have a sweet and a bitter, or excuse me, a sweet and a sour, there's a difference in a bitter and a sour, we start going into our herbs. Basically, ginger is amazing. I think I say that about all herbs, but ginger is really good. I try to keep it fresh and I try to keep it dried on hand. It's pungent. I like the taste of it. It's warming. I have it in essential oil form as well. It's a stimulant. It's antiviral. It's an expectorant. Like I said, I think I've already said it's a warming herb. So yeah, there's a little bit about that. And see, we have licorice root here. Now, licorice root is a great go-to herb for a bunch of things, but it's great for the respiratory because it's an expectorant again. Now, the reason I'm doing a lot of these are expectorants because when you have illnesses, especially dealing with the respiratory system, you most of the time will have a lot of phlegm and things like that, or even issues with the lungs. You want to try to get that stuff up because that is what contains the infection. So with licorice root, it's an expectorant, it's antiviral, it's demulcent, it's anti-inflammatory. So I also use this in my son's multivitamin that I make him. It's a tincture form, and it's great. I mean, it tastes really well. So the next thing that I'm going to be using is yarrow. Yarrow, you might notice it grows on the side of the road a lot of the times. Some people call it a weed, but as we know, weeds are very good sometimes, and this won't stay up. But it is great for colds, and that's why I'm going to put it in here. Not really more or less because it's great for respiratory, but just because it's great to kind of stop a cold in its tracks. Yarrow is really known for treatment for bug bites or poison ivy, in which I make a yarrow sporin instead of a neosporin. I make a yarrow sporin, and I will do yarrow and plantain with that. Okay, so there's yarrow, and then I have marshmallow. Marshmallow root is really good for, let me try to zoom in, is really good for the respiratory system. It is a go-to. It's a demulcent. It's anti-inflammatory. It's great for dry cough. So if you have a dry cough, this is a really good herb to go to. But you want to use, I'm trying to catch my breath here, guys, but you want to use demulcents with other demulcent. You don't want to use them just separately. They work great with each other. Okay, so one of the main, I don't think you can see this. Let me see. One of the main respiratory, which is what I will actually use here in conjunction with lobelia for my husband for smoking, is the mullein leaf. Now, this is organic. I try to buy organic when I can. As you can see, it's really light and fluffy, and it's high in many different things. It's a great herb to get a few of your small amounts of minerals and things like that. It helps to loosen up mucus and expel it out of the body, which is why this is one of the ones I've picked for my respiratory. Oxymel here, and it has been known to be a lung tonic, and a tonic is basically whenever you ingest it, it's just good all around for the body for longevity, and so there's a little bit about that. Now the last and final one, which is basically one of the main ingredients, is elderberries. Now elderberries, these are dried, as you can see here. If you have an elderberry plant around, you can actually use the elderberries straight, or you can dry them out yourself and use them just like this. But elderberries are an expectorant. They are powerful antioxidant. I mean, they are amazing. And anytime you have antioxidants and omega-3s, things like that, you're going to help yourself recover from a cold or respiratory or anything very quickly. So we are definitely going to use this because one, it's a diaphoretic, and so it's great. It's amazing for a cough syrup. So now that you know a little bit about the herbs and why I'm using them, I'm going to go ahead and start making the Oxymel. Let me try to set this up here, guys. Give me just a second. Okay, so let me see if I can turn this to where I can. Alrighty. So now what you want to do, a lot of people will say that when you are dealing with herbs, you want to do it by weight or by volume, or you want to figure it out. Me, I never really do that. I just kind of eyeball it. I know why I'm making this, and I'm making it for a preparation for my family, and so I don't feel like I need to really say, oh, this is a teaspoon of this or a tablespoon of that or this or that, because I'm making it for my family. And as a practicing herbalist, I kind of know a little bit about how much I should use just from experience. Now if you are unsure, most of the time people say use a teaspoon for an 8-ounce glass of water. If you're just going to use one herb, put it in and steep it and then drink it as a tea. So that can kind of give you an idea. Now I'm going to be using a mason jar here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the reason I'm going to do this is because basically you're going to sort of make a tincture with it. You're going to fill it up with your vinegar and your honey and your herbs, and then you're going to let it sit, and that's an Oxymel. So I'm going to get started. So I'm going to do elderberries first, and this is a half a cup. And I'm going to do about a half a cup of elderberries. And that's really the only thing I'm going to measure, you guys. Everything else I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. As long as I don't get it up to about right here on my mason jar, and it doesn't go any higher, because of course it's going to swell. So you don't want that. Okay, for the licorice root, I'm just going to, let me see, yeah, okay. Now, this right here is not very much at all, but that is enough to make a difference. Now, if you were to make a tea out of this, it would be a very, very strong tea. So, palmful, I guess. Like I said, I typically don't like to measure. There's really nothing wrong with not measuring, guys. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to hurt you. You're going to basically just take lower doses. If you made a really strong concoction here or whatever, you just take lower doses. The great thing about herbs, guys, is you can really manufacture this the way you want it for your family. It doesn't have to be strong. The great thing about herbs is if you, let's say you don't like yarrow, you don't have to put yarrow in it. And let's say you want extra yarrow, then by all means throw some in there. Whereas my recipe might not contain as much yarrow. It's perfectly fine. You manufacture this the way you want it for your family. And that's really why I absolutely love herbs. They're so nutritious for the body. They build the body. They help keep the body strong. It's just amazing. And if more people knew the amazing benefits of it, I really truly feel like more people would go to herbs over pharmaceuticals, because they're really is just less of a risk involved, because you can kind of manufacture it how you want it. Whereas things like are in pill form, they're already all in a pill, and the only thing you can do is either take, you know, less of the pill or cut the pill in half if you don't want as much of a dose. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. This is ginger. I did a little bit more ginger here. So again, I don't really measure, so it's a little over a palmful. Yarrow flowers, because I'm using yarrow that's going to stop the cold, hopefully very quickly, because it has the ability to shrink tissues, and it also promotes sweating, which is great if you have toxins or if you have a cold. It's great to do that, and it's going to also help with fever and things like that. So I'm going to use a little bit more yarrow. So I'm going to fill my palm up a couple times. And as you can see, this is a quart mason jar. As you can see, it's barely touched the bottom of it. So let me grab my half a cup here. So I'm going to say I did about a half a cup of yarrow, give or take. And marshmallow is very light, has a few hard pieces in it here. Do about half a cup of marshmallow. And then mullein. Now mullein is very good for the respiratory system, so I'm actually going to try to get as much mullein in here as I can. So, excuse me, the light and fluffier the herb is, the less you're going to, or the more you're going to be able to put in. The heavier the herb is, the more by weight it will fill up. So I hope that's easiest for you to understand. So now this needs to be broke up a little bit. Okay. Now there it is, guys. I have the elderberries and the ginger and the yarrow and the marshmallow and the mullein and the licorice root. Okay. So this is about as high as I want to go with it, because if you go any higher, it's going to swell. So now I'm going to take and shake it up, because if not, all the enzymes stay at the bottom. And I'm going to fill up this as much as I can. Let me see. I want to wet everything first. Okay. And then I want to take a wooden spoon. You never want to use... I guess I'm going to have to... Pardon me. Okay. So you want to just poke at it. Fill it up a little more. Okay. Poke at it again. And then the next thing you want to do is add your honey. Now you can warm your honey gently if it's hard to get out, but you don't have to. The honey is going to be a bit more difficult to get down, but you want to sit here and stir it until it's all mixed together. And for the sake of time on the video, I'm not going to do that. I trust that you guys know what I mean here. You just want to stir the honey and get it all the way in the bottom, because if not, you're going to have air pockets. And when you have air pockets, that means the acidity from the apple cider vinegar and the honey is not actually extracting anything from the herbs. You want to have it completely blended together well. Now, and you want to do that, fill it all the way up to the top, label it. This will go for 2 weeks. It's going to macerate for 2 whole weeks, and that's not really a long time when you do this for in comparison to an alcohol tincture. And then you strain it up, guys, and then you bottle it and you take it just as cough syrup. Now, I do recommend, if you're going to get a cold and you're going to start taking this to stop your sore throat or your cold, take a higher, let me see, about a tablespoon a couple times a day. Really judge it however you want, but you can take this in teaspoon form after it's strained up, teaspoon form, tablespoon form. Really, it's just up to you guys. So I hope this is a blessing to you, and I'm going to continue mixing this together and make sure it's all gets wet, because that's really the main goal here, is make sure it's all wet and mixed together really well. Thanks, guys.